Members of the press. The press statement dated Thursday, May 15, 2025 reads, Gambians demand immediate action, not empty promises on Jammeh asset scandal. We acknowledge President Barrow's national address on Wednesday, which came in the wake of the Republic's investigative report and the nationwide protest that follows. The president responded to the pressure and chose to speak to the country on this grave matter. However, Gambians Against Looted Assets have reviewed President Adama Barrow's national address on the disposal of assets seized from former President Yahya Jammeh. Whilst we acknowledge his public engagement and the convening of an emergency cabinet meeting, the president's remark fall far short of the decisive and transparent action demanded by the Gambian people. It is deeply alarming that President Barrow admitted to learn for the first time about some of these asset sales, some of which reportedly occurred during the Jana Commission's proceedings. These admissions raise serious concerns about leadership, oversight, and the competence and compliance of the very task force he established to manage these national assets. These transactions were carried out in the name of the people. The fact that they may have been sold off in secret at questionable prices and without the president's full knowledge points to potential cover-ups and a failure of governance. This undermines not only public trust, but the very foundation of the new Gambia. Gala note the president's reference to the National Assembly and the National Audit Office, but these bodies have their limitations and timelines. Given the urgency and the gravity of these revelations, many of which were outlined in our public petition and further corroborated by the investigative report, the assets of the Gambia's former dictator go for a song, we demand immediate and bold executive actions. Gala's demands are clear and uncompromising. First, full transparency. Publish detailed report or record of all recovered assets, sale proceedings, buyers' identities, and the amount paid. The public is entitled to know how their resources are being handled. Independent investigations. Establish a separate, impartial investigative body with full legal authority and a restricted timeline to prompt into the sales and management of these assets. This body must be free from political interference and empowered to compel testimonies and access all relevant documentations. Accountability for all involved. Anyone, regardless of rank and political affiliation, found to have engaged in corruption, negligence, and mismanagement must face legal consequences. Gambians will not accept scapegoats whilst those truly responsible remain untouched. Concrete presidential action plan. The president's speech lacked clarity, time-bound roadmap for justice and reforms. We urge him to urgently present such a plan to the nation, outlining how his government will rectify this scandal and prevent future abuse of public trust. This is a defining moment for President Adama Barrow and for our democracy. The people of the Gambia will not profit by speeches. We demand swift, transparent, and uncompromising action. Looting of our national assets in the name of justice is a betrayal that cannot be ignored. On the National Assembly extraordinary sitting, Gala will have preferred an independent NAM who is not part of the ruling party to head the committee. We cannot be both a player at the same time a referee in the same game. Such an arrangement lacks an impartiality and credibility required to get to the heart of the scandal. The Gambian people deserve more than a political charity dressed up as an oversight. We know the selection committee have been made already. Though we are unhappy with this leadership, we will let them do their job whilst we watch them closely. Finally, we reject and condemn the legal arrest of our members by the Gambia Police Force in the last weekend and protest. Peaceful protest is a constitutional right, not a crime. Targeting citizens who are standing up for transparency and justice is a blatant abuse of power. We call on the police to remember that their duty is as custodians of the law, not tools of intimidation, and not to act in service of people, not political interests. Such actions only strengthen our resolve and expose the very root we are fighting to uproot. Equally, we have learned about state ministers issuing threats to citizens for participating in a peaceful and lawful protest. We call on the ministers to withdraw and apologize, as we will not be intimidated by anyone. Finally, To every Gambian, home and abroad, we express our deepest gratitude. Thank you for standing by the truth, standing by Gala, and then for helping ensure our collective voices are not gone unheard. Some of our demands have already begun to gain traction, and this momentum must not stop. We urge all citizens to remain vigilant, vocal, and unfailing fighting for accountability. The youth are the future of this country. It's not enough to hope for change. We must be the change. We cannot remain passive whilst a few explore our national wealth for their own benefit. Gala stand firm and call on all Gambians to do the same. Together, we will ensure that justice is not just spoken, but served. Gala will continue to mobilize, expose, and hold accountable all those who seek to profit from our injustice. We all call on all Gambians to remain engaged, informed, and united in the pursuit of accountability and protection of our national wealth. Signed, Omar Saibo Kamara, spokesperson, Gambia Against Looted Assets.
Thank you very much, spokesperson. Allow questions and answers if you have any towards the movement, towards the statement. The floor is open. Just introduce yourself and.
So my first question is: we know the National Assembly are currently on seeking to establish, look or investigate the forfeited assets from the former president. Establishing that very committee that will be looking into the report or investigating as to how some of these assets were set.
It's important to be an oversight from the outside than being on the table. However, we still could affirm that there could be a representation either from the media or from the civil society. We would have recommended from the civil society to have a representative. In fact, that is one of the things we outlined in our petition when we talk about the composition of an investigative panel, to have a civil society. But for Gala, let's all stay outside and watch closely, watch far, and ensure that the needful is done.
So my second question is: you talked about a state minister uttering threats to, Rahimali Blow and Esa Farwa, the individuals that he mentioned during one of their rallies. But we also had a National Assembly member inside Parliament uttering unparliamentary statements directed to young people, calling them cockroaches and mice. What is the stand of Gala with regards to that statement?
I'll allow the national coordinator to answer that.
Oh, yeah.
I will put him on spot, but I'll allow my boss to answer that.
No, come on. Okay, thank you for the question. And the first one, that is a state minister issuing threats to citizens. You are the one that mentioned names. We are not going to mention names because how we first see individuals in this country is by their nationality as Gambians and not in their capacity as mayors or ministers. Whether the threat is to Rohit Malik Low or to Esa Fall, we see the threat as a threat towards a Gambian that participated in a lawful protest to ask for transparency and accountability. The state minister authored these threats before Gambians who did not condemn him. But today, we take this seat to ask the state minister to withdraw and apologize, as we are never going to be intimidated by empty threats from state ministers towards citizens of this country. So the second part, that is the honorable member for Sabak Sanjal that authored unpleasant and derogatory statements towards the members of Gala and the Gambian people at large, because it was an affront to the youth of this country that stood shoulder to shoulder to see to it that transparency and accountability, was done. He apologized yesterday before we even left the parliament, but it is not in our powers as Gala to accept apologies from people. The guy should go on TV to apologize to the Gambian people for insulting them. I think that is what I have to say.
Yes, so I think I responded to this question some time ago in the TV that For now, we are concerned about even for medical attention, and we are supporting him do that. So after that, Gala will sit down. Now, moving forward, we will be able to determine what kind of actions we're going to take. But for now, what is more important to us is Ibrahim to recover fully and join us as the movement continues to seek for accountability and transparency. Thank you.
So I have a final question.
The National Assembly Special Committee led that ye molle kafu nyoma iko ye jibe roke ye kisi roke investigative report o mimbota Republic Bulu pour ka tonya yandi fo tonya lambam fo tonya te jumalle bulo nota je jumalle sandi roke jumalle wafi roke National Assembly kunun neng ye mosono nyim pass ye kuma kawo nyim pass bi itata ye kafo nying ya londi comme sontale mi ye mosono nyim move ay kafo min propose wala selection committee National Assembly mi ya lonko speaker fon faba honorable faba ka tombo njata wala nga nyaton koti ye min anala kafo mol ye mol min tombon pour ye jibero ke nyin ko kan National Assembly ya asatenne isontala coming wo mol ni wala nyanda ka continue pour ka kiskisiro nyinke to nyalem wo mol ni mimbe nyaton kaya kan NPP kolam mol fanambe committee kilon kono mi yalon ko dol mu UDP kolleti do be je mi yalon ko mu NRP koleti do be je mi yalon ko mu independent candidate yala si parliament o kon conflict de wobe tarrajele conflict wala njenti ila politico ite be damen anin do ko nyin abe do ko nyin kisi ro nyin abe tilinka mol minna ite bo wolle kono conflict nyimbina woldo bari National Assembly itolle be Gambia no represent ka iko isontale kafoni yemil londi pour ye continuer ndol mimbe banta nko ni atara kafoni mallo nyama nu ndol bella fila wolla bari sen kafoni lota wala nyama ndol te kuno la woto bari nse kuno damen wala nyenti mba en solale ngatari nyulu jube kan ibela doko kala nyamen foybe doko nyinke kan kule bam foy mandara kake ku mbe time di ajibe la ila doko nyimbita kan nyamen nintol fe coming amantarta kan ku mbe findira la kotenke ka tandi mol la komi bita kan nyame mantari ta kan kuke sen del lafta kan min tandi mol la wala nyenti ntolu mam fanke government baditi mam fanke police olti but in tol we are a legitimate oversight body mi ya lonko banku dingol lenti ninga fengo fenja mi ya lonko amanta taka nyim banko kan kuke mba folale andumbe bulala normale nam soli ya mili tambindi nyato mba min fole wala nyinti Gambia no letol keje ibota patil leto bari Gambia no li be wolle je ye tambindi nyato le ko e do koke mbe bulala le katum man sembo soto ka foyete do ko nyinkela katun tol mu mollati mi ango nga luwa buñale nga luwa noma mbe bulala yela do koke bari yalom fananko nte bulala wonyama doron ka fo komi bitale min diate yake mbetarre jibe kanne andu ninga je komi bitaka nyame manta takanku ba fa la Gambia no le manta takanku andu mbe wullale nga tandi mon la koy manta takanku ala baraka
is that Gala came together. The formation began just to track the asset issue, but we come to realize that we need a nationalist movement, an anti-corruption nationalist movement that will ensure that transparency and accountability becomes the bedrock of our democracy and then our governance system. Therefore, we have come together and we have established an interim executive, and we are going to establish this movement. And then moving forward, we are going to be the mouthpiece, the eye, and then the leg of Gambian people on every corruption scandal in this country and beyond. And then we just start with the assets, but we are going to follow each of these. And we are also already reviewing the report on the GRA saga, GPA saga rather. And then from this assets issue, we are going to get into that, and we'll make sure that every corruption scandal in this country is investigated, accountability is done, and heads will roll, and we cannot continue to leave our affairs in the hand of a group of people that continue to loot and deny us our national wealth. Thank you.
And then we want to reiterate one thing. We allergy demolition victims, We have learned that they have written a permit to the police for them to protest, to show their dissatisfaction about the demolitions that happened to their properties. We stand in solidarity with them, and we want to advise the IGP to issue them the permit so they can vent out their frustrations about the things that they feel are not lawful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this press conference. And